Hello, and welcome to the fourth episode of my West Coast Mainline Operators mini-series. Today, we are looking at the West Midlands franchise, the franchise which covers commuter services from London Euston towards Northampton and Birmingham, as well as commuter and regional services in and around the West Midlands. We'll be looking at the second operator of this new franchise, West Midlands Trains, and whether their operations thus far can be deemed a success. Do like, subscribe, and consider joining the channel for exclusive perks. Thank you. First, let's look at how West Midlands Trains were formed. By 2017, the contract of the original operator of the West Midlands franchise, Govia's London Midland, was coming to an end, with the Department for Transport looking for bidders for the next franchise. Eventually, in August 2017, it was announced that Abellio had won the operations of the West Midlands franchise, running under the brand name West Midlands Trains on a 9-year contract from December 2017 until September 2026. The announcement came with a promise of a £1 billion investment into the West Midlands network. These investments will include 400 brand new carriages rolled out by 2021, free Wi-Fi on all its services by 2019, 15-minute delay repay, improved access to trains, new smart ticketing, and improved passenger information displays. The new operator would also improve the top speeds of the Class 350-2s to 110 miles an hour to match them with the rest of the 350 fleet. In October, even before the franchise would begin, it was announced that Alstom Bombardier had won the contract to manufacture 81 new electric multiple units coming from its Aventra family. These would be designated Class 730s, costing £680 million to construct, and would enter service by 2021. Away from the promises of the new franchise, let's look at the map of the West Midlands franchise. WMT would operate commuter services out of London Euston towards Milton Keynes, Northampton, Crewe and Birmingham, as well as services to Bedford and St Albans. As well as this, West Midlands Trains would operate commuter services on the Snow Hill lines towards Birmingham, Snow Hill, Leamington Spa and Stratford-upon-Avon from Kidderminster, Stourbridge and Worcester, as well as the Cross City line and the Coventry to Wolverhampton line. West Midlands Trains would also operate regional services from Birmingham towards Worcester, Hereford and Shrewsbury. Finally, the franchise would also cover regional services towards Stafford, Stoke, Crewe and Liverpool. Altogether, West Midlands Trains would call at 178 stations, managing 146 of them. The network map was no different to that of London Midland. However, there were hopes to extend and upgrade the network, starting with the electrification of the Chase line in time for 2019 and the opening of Kenilworth Station from 2018. As for the branding of West Midlands Trains, similar to London Midland, the new operator would operate under two sub-brands. West Midlands Railway would be the name for commuter and regional services across the West Midlands, whilst London North Western Railway would be the brand name for services from London Euston through Birmingham and the Trent Valley towards Crewe, Stoke-on-Trent and Liverpool. On the 11th of December 2017, West Midlands Trains began operations, launching their new West Midlands Railway brand at Birmingham Snow Hill, with London North Western Railway branding being launched at Bletchley. They inherited a fleet of diesel multiple units and electric multiple units from London Midland, which included Class 139 People Parry movers for the Stourbridge branch line, Class 150s for the Snow Hill, Hereford and Marston Vale services, with Class 153s also running similar services, as well as running on the Leamington Spa to Nuneaton line and the Chase line. Class 170s would run on Hereford, Shrewsbury and Chase line services. The 27 Class 172s would operate on Snow Hill line services and later some Hereford ones. As for electric multiple units, West Midlands Trains would inherit a small fleet of Class 319s for peak time services into Euston and services on the St Albans Abbey line from Watford Junction. Class 323s would run Cross City line services with, last but not least, Class 350s, which would operate on large sections of the network, including all services out of Euston, services to Liverpool and commuter services around Birmingham. The operator confirmed that the Class 150s, 153s, 170s, 319s, 323s and Class 350-2s would be replaced by the end of 2021, being replaced by the new Class 196 Civity diesel multiple units and the new Class 730 Aventras, with Marston Vale line services being operated by new diesel Class 230s. The Class 350-2s were outlined for replacement simply due to their high leasing fees, with the other Class 350s having lower fees due to different owners. In the meantime, West Midlands Trains announced plans to refresh the Class 323s as well as refurbish the Class 350s, excluding the Dash 2s, Class 139s, and Class 172s. Anyway, enough of pre-operations, let's get to the operations of West Midlands Trains. Despite beginning operations in December, the first criticisms came in November, when the RMT union claimed that there would be jobs at risk with the new franchise. In letters sent to former London Midland employees before the handover, West Midlands Trains outlined plans to outsource train maintenance and cleaning staff to other parties, with the RMT claiming that West Midlands Trains also had future plans to dispose of guards on trains, similar to plans with Merseyrail. Managing Director Jan Chowdhury van der Velde suggested that there would always be at least 2 staff members on each train, but did not rule out the possibility of moving to driver-only door operations. Going into 2018, West Midlands Trains confirmed that timetable changes would be starting in December. These would include half-hourly services running on the Chase line to Rugeley Trent Valley to prepare for electrification, as well as cross-city line services running to the newly rebuilt and electrified Bromsgrove station, with West Midlands Trains also confirming peak services from Walsall to London Euston, with future ambitions to make this service an all-day one, if successful. Also in 2018, West Midlands Trains confirmed that they will be receiving the London Overground Class 172-0s for added capacity on the Snow Hill Line services, with London Overground electrifying the Gospel Oak to Barking Line and receiving brand new Class 710s. The 172-0s would thus not be needed and would enter service with West Midlands Railway from the back end of 2018 and into early 2019. In August 2018, West Midlands Trains confirmed they would be leasing 3 Class 230 diesel multiple units, converted by Viva Rail from former London Underground trains, converted into mainline units, which would replace the Class 150s and 153s on Marston Vale Line services. The new converted trains would enter service by early 2019 and replace the remaining Class 150s, which went north to Northern. However, the new 230s received complaints due to their poor reliability. And, on the theme of poor reliability, West Midlands Trains announced plans to bring forward an innovative timetable for May 2019. However, it certainly didn't go as planned. The May 2019 timetable, announced in March, would see many more stations get direct Euston services. West Midlands Trains would combine services together at Birmingham New Street before continuing on towards Euston. In simple terms, they would combine the Birmingham to Euston services with Birmingham to Liverpool, Rugeley and Crewe via Stoke services. The new timetable would mean that there would be 3 London North Western Railway services per hour departing Euston for Birmingham, with 1 of these per hour continuing to Liverpool, 1 to Rugeley via Walsall and 1 to Crewe via Stoke. These new Euston services came with the electrification of the Chase line to Rugeley. Other minor timetable improvements, including more late-night services, meant that, overall, service capacity would be increased by 25% at the timetable change. Although this sounds pretty good in theory, it was executed very poorly. Firstly, the amount of services running between New Street and Euston meant that any delay would affect the entire service, with many services from New Street northbound never making it to their final destination. For example, Rugeley Trent Valley services were commonly terminated short at Hensford. In August, after the change, West Midlands Trains managed to cancel almost 10% of their services. The new timetable was a disaster overall, with any cancellation or delay leading to missed connections, huge overcrowding, and even more delays. The reduced set-down times at Northampton meant that any delays could not be made up. All trains had to couple and decouple at Birmingham New Street, which was not only very complicated, but took time, exacerbating delays. Delays in transferring the Class 350-4s from Transpennine Express to London North Western Railway also led to many short-form services. The Snow Hill lines were also affected. A lack of rolling stock and an intensive timetable led to many short-form services and intense overcrowding on services to Kidderminster. Eventually, West Midlands Trains confirmed that the timetable will be recast in December 2019, with services from Liverpool and Crewe terminating at New Street. Services from Rugeley were terminated at Birmingham International from 2020, and only an hourly Walsall to Euston service would remain, only due to it being in the franchise requirements. Euston to Birmingham services would be cut back, terminating only at New Street, remaining at half-hourly, with a new all-day shuttle between Birmingham New Street and Birmingham International running. However, the old timetable still had 2 months of operations to go, and October 2019 was a terrible month for the operator. Services were hugely disrupted due to a shortage of staff, caused by more staff on leave than usual. Services from Nuneaton, Rugeley, Crewe and Liverpool were affected, with rail replacement buses running across the network. Things got worse too. The RMT union confirmed that they would be walking out across November due to driver-only operation threats from West Midlands Trains. The RMT suggests that driver-only operations would make trains more unsafe and put many future jobs at risk. Across the October and November periods of disruption, West Midlands Trains had over 55% of services cancelled out of Euston per day, averaging around 40% of service cancellations across the end of October. After strikes, constant overcrowding and cancellations, things would improve. On the 5th of December, West Midlands Trains agreed a deal with the RMT, which would ensure guards would remain on services, including those operated by the new Class 196s and 730s. The December 2019 timetable did also rectify most of the reliability issues by rolling back services to Euston, with West Midlands Trains fined £20 million due to their poor performance over the winter period. Luckily for West Midlands Trains, they would get some time to recover from the infuriating May 2019 timetable and chaos which ensued. In 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic led to rail franchises being propped up by the Department for Transport, with services cut significantly. Regardless, West Midlands Trains ran their December timetable with far less passengers than expected, and revenue thus collapsing. However, COVID, electrification of the Chase line, and the Class 350-4s returning to the West Midlands allowed the company to finally retire the ageing Class 153s. The West Midlands 153s, built in 1988, had served the West Midlands for more than 30 years, exceeding 25 million miles over the entire fleet, and were withdrawn from Hereford to Birmingham services, which they ran coupled with Class 170s during the latter months of their operations. West Midlands Railway were fully focused on the Class 196 and Class 730 introduction. However, the new rolling stock would be delayed due to COVID, with West Midlands Railway hoping for a full fleet rollout by 2023, which would be 2 years behind schedule. Elsewhere, West Midlands Trains began removing West Midlands Railway branding from its Class 170s, beginning to apply a purple East Midlands Railway livery, which most of the Class 170s would be moving to. This was in preparation of the introduction of the Class 196s, which finished construction in 2020. In March 2021, the West Midlands Trains network would be expanding, at some point anyway. The West Midlands Combined Authority approved £20 million of funding to reopen the Camp Hill line in Birmingham, which would cost £61 million in total. The new service would run from Kings Norton, operated by Class 196s, running to 3 new stations and into Birmingham New Street. The 3 new stations would be Pineapple Road, Kingsheath and Moseley Village. Despite COVID halting the initial construction work, the final release of funds from the West Midlands Combined Authority would allow for the line to reopen by 2023. Elsewhere, in May 2021, West Midlands Trains were under fire for allegedly sending fake bonus emails to staff in what the company described as a security test. West Midlands Trains confirmed that they had emailed 2,500 staff, stating that they would be receiving a financial reward for their hard work during the pandemic. However, when staff clicked the link to receive the reward, they received a second email, claiming that it was just a test. The TSSA union described it as causing needless hurt to employees who had made real sacrifices over the past 12 months. West Midlands Trains suggested the test was designed to have language which real cybercriminals would use, but without the consequences. Elsewhere in May, West Midlands Railway announced that they would be temporarily leasing their 4 Chiltern Railways Class 172 Turbostars to make up for the delayed Class 196 introduction. In September, this became a permanent move, with the 172s outshopped in the West Midlands Railway livery and working on Snow Hill Line services. In September, a new direct contract was awarded to West Midlands Trains until September 2026. This replaced the existing franchise agreement and stripped all power from Abellio, now renamed Transport UK Group, on the actual runnings of the franchise. Elsewhere in October, West Midlands Trains were hit by a driver shortage. This driver shortage, somewhat similar but less severe than London Midlands previously, led to short notice cancellations due to a lack of drivers. West Midlands Trains had a much better excuse than London Midland did though: the pandemic, which the company claimed hindered opportunities to train new drivers. Indeed, West Midlands Trains announced that they had 100 trainee drivers getting trained. However, the new driver training would take a year overall, leading to delays and cancellations throughout the back end of 2021 and into 2022. A dedicated Facebook group was set up by angered passengers and managed to reach 800 members. However, West Midlands Trains spokesperson Francis Thomas did suggest things would improve by 2022, with new Class 196s hoping to be in service by the end of the year. Going into 2022, WMT were one of the many operators involved in the strikes from 2022 until 2024, which led to reduced services and days of no services at all over the next 2 years. However, things did improve when, in October, the first of the Class 196 DMU civities entered service on the Shrewsbury to Birmingham route. Over the coming months, more 196s would enter service on Shrewsbury, Hereford and Leamington to Nuneaton routes, replacing all the Class 170s by 2023. In December, though, disaster struck when Viva, who manufactured and maintained the Class 230s for London North Western Railway, collapsed and entered into administration. This meant that the Class 230s, which were very unreliable and costly to maintain, were not able to be maintained and thus were withdrawn from service. Due to the very short platforms on the Marston Vale line, no other class of train in West Midlands Trains' fleet could run on the route, leading to a rail replacement bus in operation until the company could find replacement stock for the 230s. Elsewhere in 2022, the first of 15 Class 319s that London North Western Railway operated began being withdrawn and sent to scrap. The remaining few would finally be withdrawn after the Class 730s entered service on Euston services by the end of 2023. By 2023, West Midlands Trains had the solution on the Marston Vale line lack of stock. Go back to what they had previously, Class 150s. West Midlands Trains and the DFT struck a deal with Northern to lease 3 Class 150-1s for services on the Marston Vale line, with a limited service hoping to be introduced by the end of the year. Another line, the Camp Hill line, was not so lucky. Due to a series of unforeseen issues such as unstable walls, historic wells and protected animal and plant species, the line, which should have reopened by 2023, would be delayed until at least 2024 and possibly 2025. Then West Midlands Mayor Andy Street called the news disappointing. However, pressed home the point that the new line would be opening soon and would be hugely beneficial to local passengers. Better news came in November, with the first of 82 Class 730 Adventurers entering service. Despite being West Midlands Railway colours, the first units entered service running from Euston on peak time diagrams to replace the final Class 319s, which would be withdrawn by the end of 2023, becoming some of the last 319s in service anywhere in the UK. The new trains would then head north, entering service in their soon-to-be forever homes in the West Midlands by early 2024. As well as this, in November, London North Western Railway began limited services on the Marston Vale line with their quote-unquote new Class 150s, marking an end to the nearly year-long rail service absence. It wasn't all good news, sadly, as in winter, West Midlands Railway had an issue with spare wheel sets for the Class 172s due to leaves on the line, causing damaged wheels, with spares being disrupted due to supply chain issues. This meant 5 Class 172s were out of service, with this being more than what was needed to run a full timetable. In short, West Midlands Railway ran out of trains. This led to shortfalls and cancellations across the Snow Hill lines, Hereford services and Leamington to Nuneaton routes, but luckily the issue subsided by the new year. Into 2024, and the current year as of making this video. In February, the first Class 730s began operating in the West Midlands, with 730-018 making an appearance on the Wolverhampton to Walsall service, with 48 further West Midlands Railway Class 730s entering service over the following 6 months, seeing the end of the Class 323s with West Midlands Railway, which, as of making this video, is only a few weeks away, and they may have already been fully withdrawn by the time you are watching this video. Also in February, the West Midlands Rail Executive published a study which saw them outline 3 new railway stations in the West Midlands which should be constructed. These would be in Castle Bromwich, Coventry East, and just north of Wolverhampton in the Tettenhall area on the Shrewsbury line. £1 million has been put forward to develop the proposals, but with cuts to public spending expected in the October budget, it's sadly unlikely that these proposals will go much further anytime soon. Finally, in February, yes, February this year was a very busy one, the full hourly service resumed on the Marston Vale line, with a £1 train ticket discount being applied for the following 3 months, extended until November 2024 due to huge demand in an attempt to win back rail passengers. Penultimately, a landslide on the Shrewsbury line in March led to lengthy delays on the line, with West Midlands Railway running a shuttle service between Shifton and Wolverhampton, but unable to run a full service into Shrewsbury. In May, services were improved with Shrewsbury to Birmingham services becoming half-hourly with West Midlands Railway, with Tamebridge Parkway getting a direct service to the Shropshire town. However, the Crewe to Birmingham service would not be returned after being cut back to Stafford in December, with this likely to be a permanent feature of the timetable. And with that, we are up to the present day, September as of recording. West Midlands Railway are very close to having Class 730s operating the whole of the Cross City line, ending 30 years of Class 323 traction on the historic route. Class 196s are now on the Hereford and Shrewsbury lines, with the Class 170s being fully withdrawn and moved to East Midlands Railway and cross country. The Camp Hill line reopening, whilst delayed until 2025 and costs spiralling, will open at some point, hopefully. However, what is interesting is whether the Camp Hill will be operated by West Midlands Trains. This is because, in the clause of the new contract, West Midlands Trains' operations could be suspended as early as the 15th of December 2024. With the new government wanting rail nationalisation, could the operator be nationalised in the next few months? We'll just have to wait and see, I guess. So then, the important question: have they been a success? Well, in my opinion, as someone who lives in the West Midlands and has West Midlands Trains as a local operator, I would say they probably have overall, despite some setbacks, such as lack of drivers, lack of trains, service cuts, especially between Leamington and Nuneaton, and new station delays. This can't all be blamed on West Midlands Trains. They have begun to bring in their new fleet despite delays due to COVID-19 and have reduced overcrowding. The December 2024 timetable will see the reinstatement of 2 trains an hour to Liverpool from Birmingham, with the London North Western Class 730s entering service next year. However, scandals such as the May 2019 timetable change, short notice cancellations still occurring, especially on the Snow Hill lines, and the issue of driver-only operations do potentially hinder the company's reputation. But overall, I believe they are a decent operator. But what do you think? Am I being too nice to West Midlands Trains, or are they indeed a successful operator? Please let me know in the comments below. Do consider liking, subscribing and joining the channel. Special thanks to my first class member, Callum Martin Bell, Business Zone members Andrew Bowen, Anthony Harris, Anthony James Moore, ARK, Connor Grieg, Craig Mitchell 43, Jay Teco and Lewis C21. Also thanks to Devarooney for his donations and membership. You can get your name on this list for as little as £2.99 a month and help me to make my videos. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks so much for watching. Check out my Twitter, Discord and Instagram in the links below, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.